guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Whistle with me, Matty K, and Grace Wild. Hi, Grace.
Hello, how are you?
I am unbelievably tired, and I've done nothing apart from drink all weekend. I've not seen any bit of football, so this podcast, guys, is going to be entirely Grace, and then I'm just here for the looks and the charm. Yeah.
And do you know what? That's what repeat listeners want, Matty. Let's be honest.
I didn't expect you to laugh that hard, to be honest. But okay. Right, go on. Shall we kick it off We'll go game by game. I know we did things slightly different last week. That was the transfer podcast, wasn't it? And whatever we did before, I can't remember. But we'll go game by game week. You can kick us off, and I will just jump in wherever we can.
Can I kick us off firstly with the AFCON final? Did you see
Yes,
it?
you can. I think did we say? I don't. Did we say on the podcast? Did we both get the two finalists?
We both got the two finalists.
And what a final, by the way.
I'm the winner.
Well, to be fair, you are quite far behind in the our week by week predictions, so I'll give you this one.
Thank you. Yeah, I have been disgracefully poor in the last few weeks. You got the big one right, which we'll talk about later on. Anyway, should we start with Man United versus Man City?
Yeah, let's go for it. So, well, for the listeners, I did say in the I think I said in the last podcast, I was in Birmingham all weekend partying, so I didn't really get to see much. One of the lads that I was out with is a big Man United fan, so while we was all getting ready, he had the game on the iPad, so I saw little bits of it. Man United looks very good, unbelievably good, but Man City also look quite bad. So I'll let you take it away, and I'll just throw in my little input where we can.
Well, it ended Man United 2, Man City nil, which was quite a turn up for the books. I think, to be honest with you, the beginning of this game week summed up this game week. It was a crazy game week with the top three, none of them winning. I think it was top four actually in the end. None of them came out with 3 points. Um, yeah, Man United looked good. I think the game suited them in many ways because obviously all the pressure was on City. City came at them, didn't really have too much end product, and then United just hit them on the counter, and were doing it very, very effectively. That's where their first goal came from. Sorry, an Imbermo goal. The counter attack and the finish were brilliant, really, really good. And then obviously Dorgu scored the second one, which I was not expecting. It was a good run from him, an unlikely run, but a good run and a decent finish. And to be honest with you, I don't know whether it's absolutely confirmed already, but I think they need Mark Gay, City, for sure.
Yeah, it was confirmed about 15 minutes before we started the pod. So it's confirmed he's signed for. Did we say it was roughly on 20 million? I think we talked about it, didn't we, in the transfer podcast?
Yeah, 20 million quid. I mean, that's a steal in today's market.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure we'll get to that because I've not seen anything, but I did hear the comments that Glasner made after the Palace game. But we'll get to that eventually.
Did you see the Dallo red card potential?
Is that
It
the one
wasn't a
on?
red
Was that the one on Doku?
yes, I
Yeah.
want to say it is, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I did.
What did you think?
Uh, Again, I've only seen. I think it was a little bit like being VAR for me because I only got the still image. I've not really seen the in play sort of thing. So it was, but I've seen them given, and
So I.
that's all I can say. And this is the problem where we're at with football now is it's so inconsistent. Where some weeks they're given, and then other weeks like this weekend it's not given, and that's kind of the problem we've got. And that's why there's so much controversy around it. Because if they were given every week, we'd all just go, well, fair enough, it's a red card challenge. But the inconsistency is what brings this up. Personally, I thought it was a red card in today's football. But I don't know what's your thoughts on it.
It's a difficult one because I think the still image makes it look potentially worse than it is in many
Is
ways.
is that like flashing up an error with VAR then? Is that kind of a talking point with VAR? Because, like I said, I only saw the still image, which is what the VAR. No, sorry, that is what the referee is seeing when the VAR puts it on the screen right inside the stadium. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, it does look bad. I thought looking at the challenge, it was a red card, but I've only seen the still image.
I mean, to be honest with you, the still image makes it look worse, but in my book, it was a red card. Just, I think it was high and it was studs up. I mean, I think some people argued he got the ball. Some people argued he only caught him, he didn't really make too much contact. But then again, like you said, I've seen them given so many times. I don't really understand why that one wasn't given, if I'm honest.
Hmm. Yeah, no, yeah. From what, like I said, from what I've seen, it's a red card. I never understand this whole argument of, oh, he only nearly caught him. It doesn't matter if he only nearly caught him. The intent was there. So I think that should be enough. And a different day, he does catch him. It's a potential leg breaker. That's, you know what I mean? Like you can't say, oh, well, he only just nearly caught him. It's still dangerous.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the whole point of a red card being given at that point is it's a deterrence, isn't it? It's trying to deter somebody from doing that again. Well, that's just not going to happen if you're not going to give the red card. That's the thing for me. Is like I almost feel like we've lost the meaning of what a red card is meant to do, which is supposed to be don't do this because you will get sent off. And it's like he's only just caught him. It's not an excuse, is it?
Yeah. That's why I've got nothing wrong with an early yellow. Do you know, like in a couple of minutes into a game and someone puts in a challenge, yellow card. Come on, mate. Do you know what I mean? So
It's a warning.
yeah, it's a warning. There's nothing wrong with that for me. So yeah, no, but like I said, from what I saw, red card.
Interesting one, really, because it probably would have changed the game, arguably, because I think City are that good. They did have a poor day, though, and to be honest with you, Donnarumma kept them in the game a fair few times. Some great saves from him. He's looking like a great purchase.
Yeah, I think it was pretty much a no-brainer to be honest for Man City to go out and get him. Did they get him in the summer? Well, Brighton thinking the season had already started, hadn't it? Because Trafford had been playing a game or two, I think. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, good, yeah, sensible option from City really. Again, what I saw in the hotel while I was getting ready, it was literally a brief, like 15 minutes or something, but it was all Man United. And I was looking up and I'm like, Man United are playing triangles around Man City, and it's Man City were just so like stretched defensively. I was like, really? What is going? I was going to ask, do you think it's a bit of midweek hangover? Obviously, they played in the League Cup, I think, midweek.
Yeah.
I can't remember who against now. Um, Newcastle, maybe.
Yeah, it was Newcastle at St James's Park, I think, as well.
Yeah,
So they won that, I think. I'm pretty sure
yeah,
they
but
won it.
there's going to be a bit. I know Man City have got a big squad, but they have got quite a few players injured as well. So yeah, I was going to ask, is it a bit like of a hangover from midweek?
I think it could have been. I think, look, the Manchester Derby is a massive, massive game, and in the past it's been sort of a level playing field where generally if City have played midweek, so have United because they've been in the Champions League or whatever. But I don't know. It obviously that's not the situation with United at the moment. Their full concentration is on the league, and that was a massive one for them. I don't know. It just felt sentimental that one for United, and I sort of put my prediction out and I'm pretty sure we did it early, didn't we? And I nearly put out a different prediction because there was just something in me thinking United are going to be up for this one. And I think the whole idea of City having to break down quite a stubborn defence and United being able to hit on the counter, that was something that, especially with the Ahmad back, I think they could do really effectively. And I just think everything in my head at the beginning of the game, I'm thinking this could easily swing United's way, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, well, I was just pulling up the predictions there because I forgot what we did. I went for 2-0, but 2-0 Man City, and you went for 3-1. So we both had it down as a convincing win for Man City. I just didn't see it coming. I'm dreading this like online behaviour from United because it'll be, oh, we're back and we're back. We're gonna win the league next season. It's like, okay, let's just chill. And to be fair, Man United do always put up a fight against Man City. They step up for that game, which is what you want from a derby. But yeah, Man City just sort of fell flat. They looked all over the place defensively.
Yeah, 100%. I think you nailed it when you said they just looked stretched. They couldn't deal with what United had going forward, and it almost feels like that United offense is too good to only hit on the counter. So it's like when they are hitting on the counter, they're going to do it very effectively. And that's exactly what happened. It was just, oh, it was devastating type stuff, counter-attacking football.
Yeah, the last thing I wanted to say on it actually, I'd heard Pep's comments say like, "Oh, the better team won." So I mean, fair play for him coming out and just saying, "Yeah, we were poor." Another comment I picked up as well might have been after the league game where he just said, "Oh, Haaland's really tired." I'm like, you're just playing against Exeter. Why? Why put him on the bench if you really want to, or just leave him up the squad? You don't need him. So I'm like, you've kind of done this to yourself, mate. I know that obviously they've got players at AFCON and stuff like that, but I just didn't see why you needed to play any minutes in that game.
Well, I mean, there is an argument for that, absolutely. But I think who is the replacement for Haaland?
Hmm. Yeah, but against Exeter,
Oh, yeah, against Exeter, I'm
that's
sure
what I'm
they could
saying. Like
play.
he was saying about Haaland being tired.
So,
He was saying about Haaland being tired. I'm like, you played him in the Exeter game. You didn't need to. Like, you could have put anybody out there. You could have put me up there, and you probably would have done him over.
well, I'm not going to lie. I'm pretty sure I've seen Foden play a sort of false nine and absolutely run the show. Arguably against an opposition they should beat, but that's a similar situation. Why not? Why not put the trust in somebody and go? Do you know what? We're going to go for a false nine. Give Haaland a rest. You're absolutely right. Absolutely.
Yeah. Are we into the 3 o'clock games? Is that?
We are indeed. Chelsea versus Brentford. Now, I thought this one would be a draw. And to be honest with you, I've spoken to a few Chelsea fans since this game, and I think a lot of them felt lucky to come away with the scoreline they did. It ended 2-0 to Chelsea. Um, it was a defensive mistake, to be honest with you, from Brentford that meant that Chelsea scored their first goal. It was João Pedro. It was sloppy. There's no doubt it was sloppy, and João Pedro was just on it, and it was a great finish in the end. How Brentford didn't score in between Chelsea's first goal and their second goal is beyond me. It was one of those they just couldn't hit the target situations. Things weren't bouncing for them. Sanchez made some really key saves. And then Cole Palmer got a penalty, and that made it 2-0 Chelsea. So I think it's a very flattering scoreline for Chelsea.
Yeah, again, I've seen very little. I knew Sanchez must have had a good game because I opened up the FPL app and I've got Sanchez in goal and he came with a big 11 points as well. So I thought, well, he must have made quite a few saves during the game. I've seen the penalty. Um, yeah, Stonewall penalty. That's not very much you can say about that. And a bit unfortunate from Brentford really because you think if it's not for that, could they have gone on to maybe just nick one? But yeah, 2-0 it kind of killed the game off, anyway. Really.
Yeah, and it was one of those situations where I felt Brentford could have played for another 90 minutes and they wouldn't have scored. It just wasn't falling for them.
Yeah.
Um, I, they had so many opportunities that just, were so marginally close to them scoring. They just have to put it down as one of those frustrating days, and Chelsea get all 3 points.
Yeah, I saw a stat as well. Is it the first ever manager to come in and play 4 different competitions in a row as a new manager or something? Wow, from Liam. How do you think he's adjusting to the Chelsea life?
Do you know what? I saw something about him the other day, and I really, I respected him anyway. And you've only spoken positively about him in terms of Hull. I read something that said that he doesn't wear gloves in training because he likes to show the players when they've done a good thing. So he will clap and obviously clap when the players have done a good thing, which I think is one of those really minor things that is really quite admirable, if you know what I mean. I think it's one of those tiny things that could really make a difference. And honestly, I really want him to succeed. I really do.
Yeah, I did. I've seen that as well about him not wearing gloves or something. But yeah, look, I've come out and I've said my comments on Liam Rossini, and I got a bit of slate on social media for saying that he shouldn't have. I didn't. Well, no, I said it was a job too early. I think he should have gone to somewhere like Palace first. I never said he shouldn't take the job because why would he turn down a job like that? But at the end of the day, Chelsea's getting a good manager. They're getting a good coach, and he's good with the players. He's good overall. Like I said, I've seen him at Hull, and the Hull fans loved him. So yeah, look, you'll be all right. You're in safe hands.
Yeah, and I just think he's a nice guy, and in a sense that's why I want him to succeed, because I just feel like a lot of the stereotypes of successful managers is arseholes, essentially, people who are just dicks to the players, essentially. And I really, it is one of those things where I agree with you. I think it is potentially a job too soon for him. He should have had some Premier League experience before going into a job with the expectation that Chelsea has. But I really want him to succeed. I want to sort of be wrong, if you know what I mean. I really want him to do well.
You've got to look at it as well. This is the first club he's been at where he's potentially playing 4 different competitions in one season. Because Chelsea are expected to go the distance in not every competition that they play. Whereas, like, if they took a job like Palace, you'd expect the league and maybe an FA Cup run, or a League Cup run, something. But you're not expecting to compete in. the three trophies and European football as well. All right, they've smashed it under Glasner recently, but let's talk about it realistically. That's not going to happen every season. So I think just going from playing maybe one a game a week, two max, to then playing in four different competitions, it's going to take some time to adjust.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is just going to take time, and I think he is he is somebody that I'm not judging just yet in terms of whether I think he will succeed or not, because I think he was fortunate against Brentford because there was plenty of opportunities Brentford could have buried and would have done on a different day. Um, I am looking forward to seeing his first sort of tactical issue. I'm looking forward to him having to switch it up at some point because I do think that's where Maresca was good. Is tactically he was very savvy. I can think of multiple times where he made changes at half time, and I'm thinking, yeah, that's the type of thing I would do because that's clearly an issue. And you're just not going to take it for another 15 minutes and then make a change at the 60th minute. Just get it done, get it started now. Um, I'm interested to see what he's like as a manager in that sense.
Yeah, and the final thing I'll say on him is at Hull, again, I don't know if this was more just sort of like the club he's at and the league that he's playing in. He was quite happy taking a 1-0 or a 1-1. Obviously, I've not seen the game. Did it look like at 1-0, did it look like he was happy to settle for a 1-0, or was he always was he pushing for a second goal?
In all honesty, I didn't watch the 90 minutes,
Hmm.
so I would love to answer that, but I genuinely don't think I can answer that truthfully because our two teams were playing at the same time. I was watching that one instead. So I didn't actually watch the 90 minutes. I watched the highlights. So actually, I mean, that's a question. I don't know when Chelsea play this weekend, but that's a question I'm sure we can answer after this weekend because I'm sure they won't be playing at 3 o'clock.
Yeah, no, like I said, it's maybe just something to look out for. But and again, Hull have tended to be like that, regardless of who's in charge of them. So it might not be a Liam thing. I'm just quite interested to see if they do push on for that second goal. Obviously, they got one thanks to a penalty, which is a bit fortunate. But or if he's happy to take a 1-0, I mean, look, a 1-0, anyone will take a 1-0. If they're winning 1-0 every week, you're going to win the league. So it doesn't matter. But yeah, it's just interesting. It's an interesting question to ask, really. But are we at that time yet? Oh, we're not. We've got some more games to talk about.
We've got two more before we get
Okay,
to the big
well,
one.
because I don't, I'm dreading it. So
I'm waiting for the rant. I just can't wait for the rant. Um, we're going to move on to a game that I don't really have too much to say about, to be honest with you. It was a late winner. It was Leeds 1, Fulham nil. I think I predicted a Leeds win. I think Ellen Road, I'm probably at the moment, especially back in Leeds. Leeds should have scored more. They were, I'm thinking of an Aronson chance that he should have absolutely scored, but he didn't. Um, yeah, lots of situations where he should have scored more. I think Fulham were quite lackadaisical. And then Nemecha managed to get a winner quite late on. And it was a really good finish.
yeah, I mean, again, there's not really much I can say because I've not seen any football, so it's a bit of a hard pod for me this week. Again, I've said in the past, Fulham just saw 50-50. They've been on a fairly decent run recently with Wilson being on form and stuff like that. But yeah, like you say, Ellen Road. Have you been to Ellen Road before?
I haven't. I'm a bit scared to be honest, Matty. It seems quite
Well,
scary.
I was going to say it's only about 40 odd minutes away from Hull, so we'll get a game sorted and we'll go check it. I've never been either, but the atmosphere is incredible from what it looks like on TV and videos and stuff like that. So we'll have to go check it out and see what it's like.
Yeah, it feels like one of those bucket list football stadiums.
Mm.
You've got to go to a game at Old Trafford, you've got to go to a game at Anfield, got to go to a game at Ellen Road. Those sort of classic football stadiums.
Yeah. But no, it's tough place to go. Fair play to Leeds. If they are going to go down, they're going down swinging, aren't they? So it's all you
Well,
can.
this is my question to you. Do you think not that they're safe, because I think it's too early to say that, but do you think that they are now on the edge of that conversation
Right.
about going down?
Oh, because I don't want to make myself look an idiot. Let me pull up the table so I can see what I
They are.
genuinely, I know I say this all the time about, or I make jokes about not making notes, which I do to a degree. But this weekend I've seen very, very little, so it's just I've no idea where we are. Where are they? So they are the 16th, aren't they, on 25 points? They've got Forest
Yeah.
below them on 22 and West Ham on 17, Tottenham on 27. Uh, look. mm, unless unless West Ham are going to start putting up a real fight, which we'll get to that game in a minute. The bottom three is the three that I can see going down, and unfortunately, I mean, you won't want to hear that really. 17, 89, 21, 22, 5 points. And what are the seven? Okay, so let me ask you this: have Arsenal won the league yet?
No, absolutely not.
So then no one's relegated yet, apart from
Yeah.
Wolves, because I don't think they're ever coming back from it. But do you know what? I love it. I think if it can go right down to the wire and it can go down to the last weekend, then why not? But I think Leeds have definitely got enough to stay up. 100% they've got enough to stay up. Calvert-Lewin, if his form continues, I think he was quite close to scoring one at the weekend as well. So yeah, if he can find the back of the net again, then why not? But I wouldn't say they're safe yet.
The thing I worry about for Leeds is everything about their performance and everything that's been good about them the last couple of weeks, arguably the last month or so, has been their spirit. And I just don't know whether they can carry that on the whole season. Is something going to knock their spirit? Do you see what I mean? It's like momentum is carrying them, and is something going to knock that? And I'm saying this as a just a genuine concern. But you argue, Tottenham are what 2 points above Leeds at the moment, and I wouldn't say they're in the relegation battle. Whether that's me being naive, but I wouldn't say they're in the relegation battle. And you think there's only 2 points between them. There's one win between them.
Yeah, Leeds I feel a bit like I think there's a handful of teams you can put in this really. Maybe Burnley, Leeds, maybe like a Leicester or something that feel not quite good enough for the Prem, but too good for the Championship. It seems like there's a little bit of middle ground, which it's mad to say really because I don't even think Leicester are doing very well this season. But do you know what I mean? That sort of quality of team and like level of club where they feel like there's a bit of a middle ground between the two leagues. So, but yeah, I think Leeds have definitely got enough to stay up.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one to see. Maybe in the next sort of 4 or 5 game weeks, we'll get a clearer picture as to whether they can continue that sort of momentum. And I think Dominic Calvert-Lewin not scoring this weekend worries me from a Leeds perspective, not from a West Ham perspective. I love it, but from a neutral perspective, I think if you're Leeds, you're thinking, oh, you are really carried by that DCL momentum at the moment. You do not want him to have a dry patch,
Yeah.
because you're going to have a bit of a problem. He's so important to them at the moment and everything they do right. If he can carry that on to the end of the season, which he absolutely could do, then I think they'll be fine. But it's whether he goes into a little dry patch.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. Fully agree. Go on, hit me. What we got?
Liverpool won, Burnley won. Now, this was a little bit of a shocker. I don't know whether you followed the 3 o'clocks as they were going on.
So we was in the bar at that point. Was halfway through a bottomless brunch. So we had what is it, Soccer Saturday or something like that was on one of the TV screens. The back end of the Man United game had just finished, so then they flipped over to Soccer Saturday or whatever, and I think I got to see up until about 5 o'clock, which probably does cover just about the end of the 3 o'clock games. Didn't get to see any coverage, but just saw the results coming in. I had a Man United fan in front of me and a Liverpool fan to the right of me, so it was an interest and obviously a Spurs fan. So yeah, interesting game.
Yeah, and that's one of those ones where I think Liverpool scored fairly early on. I expected them to go for it. I was shocked because I had Do Not Disturb on my phone, so I couldn't look, because when you're watching a game and then you get a notification that someone scored before it's happened on your TV, it's the worst thing in the world. So I had Do Not Disturb on, so I literally checked it at the end of the 3 o'clock kickoffs. I don't know whether you know, but Szoboszlai missed a penalty. He hit the crossbar.
Yeah, I'd seen I'd missed it, didn't know how.
Yeah, crossbar. It was too high. The Verts goal was a nice little cheeky finish. It was a nice, smart finish. He seems to be finding his feet a little bit more, still wanting to be more clinical, but it was a good finish.
So I was talking about Everts to the Liverpool fan, and I was saying I think it might have been the Man United fan that was slating him, and I was like, look, to be fair, if you've actually watched him from the start of the season, you could see what he was trying to do. You could see the progressive runs and the progressive passes. It just wasn't clicking for him. Whereas the last couple of weeks, it does look like it's starting to click a little bit better for him, and he looks a quality player.
Yeah, and look, we know this. We know this from his time before Liverpool. It's not like he's a new player. We're well aware of him and his quality. And I think it's just unlocking that, isn't it? And whether it's a case of he needs time to get used to the league or whether it's a confidence issue, there could be so many different things. But as a Premier League fan, when I'm watching players like that, I want to see the best of them. I just do.
Yeah, and you hear it all the time, don't you, from players that say it's one of the hardest leagues to adjust to. So you don't know how long it takes players. Maybe I mean, look at Xavi Simons. I don't think he's fully adjusted to the league yet. So you never know when it's going to click for him, but it does look like it's starting to click. And maybe I'm not quite sure when he got his first goal for Liverpool, whether Salah was still there or not. But maybe without Salah being there, maybe he's got a bit more freedom to move around and maybe not dictate play as much as whatever. I don't quite know. See, there's so many variables. It's kind of hard to say. But look, he looks like he's finding his feet a little bit, and that's only a positive for Liverpool.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned in AFCON, that's I don't know whether you've noticed it because you haven't watched too much this weekend, you might not have, but I felt we had Aaron Wan-Bissaka back last weekend. Um, and I felt he was off a bit. He's somebody who's played in the Premier League for a long time, but you take him away from the Premier League, different pace, different intensity. And I'm not saying AFCON's, particularly bad intensity or anything like that, but the Premier League is particularly physical, particularly fast. And I felt he was off it. I felt he needed 90 minutes to get back into it. And he's somebody with loads of Premier League experience. So, it is just one of those things where everybody takes a different period of time. And even just a small stretch away from the league can cause problems for you. So, I just want Wirtz to do what Wirtz does best, to be honest with you, as a non-top six fan, as somebody who sort of watches the title race with intrigue rather than association to a specific club. I want to see the best of it.
Yeah. And I mean, just on to counteract that, when I say it's like quite, there's too many variables. Look at Mbama; he's been away and he's come back and scored in his first game back for United. So you never have any idea of how people are going to adjust to it. So yeah, no, I mean, fair enough. Great point for Burnley though.
Oh, brilliant point for Burnley. And do you know what? Their goal was actually a really lovely goal.
Right. Okay.
Go
So
on.
I've not seen the goal, but I can't remember. This is very poor hosting from me. If it was this podcast or the FPL one that I do, because they all sort of just merge. But was it this one that I was saying? I don't understand why Marcus Edwards is not starting for Burnley.
It was not this one.
It wasn't this one, but I'll have to go. If you don't believe me, go and have a look because I said it on the FPL one. I said I don't know why he's not starting every game. Whether this was a few weeks ago, so whether he's made his way into the squad or something, I don't know. Can I check that actually? Can I check if he was in the starting 11
You
before
go for it.
But I
I
was basically saying, obviously he used to play for Tottenham before getting sold, and then Burnley.
did.
Yes, okay, so no, he was for this game. He was in the starting 11. Let me have a look if he's about his previous games because I know at the time I was saying this, he wasn't in the starting 11. Benched for FA Cup.
Is it because Fleming's injured?
It could, yeah, it could be that. I mean, looking at this, to be fair, it does look like he has started a fair few games. And came off in the 88th minute, 90 minutes, came off in the 55th minute. So it might just be a bit of a 50-50. But at the time of recording that podcast, I was questioning why he wasn't starting because I don't think he was. And but yeah, he's a fantastic player. And I'd like to see him start every week. And I think he deserves to be in the Prem. Simple as that, really.
Yeah, I think it was a really, really nice finish. I can't say I know too much about him, to be brutally honest with you, but it was a really, really nice finish. But the through ball was the thing for me. The through ball was delightful. I should have checked who put the ball in, but he found himself in some really nice space, Edwards. And, it's one of those, one of my favourite sayings is show me a goal, I'll show you a mistake. And this was one of those moments where Canate, I just felt was lazy. I just thought he was lazy. He should have spotted the danger of Edwards, and I just didn't feel like he was mobile enough to actually intercept that danger before it became a real threat. So to be honest with you, it annoys me that I see that because I feel like I want to sit there and go, what a goal from Edwards, because it was a really good goal from Edwards. But I can't help but look at it and go, that was a mistake. Do you know what I mean? It is one of those highlighted Liverpool defensive mistakes.
Yeah. I wanted to ask about Slot. Do you think he's still going to be there at the end of the season? Obviously, there's big question marks over him, and Liverpool have been quite leaky defensively. And like you said, you've seen these sort of mistakes and stuff, which is not really something you used to see from Liverpool, especially with Van Dijk at the back and stuff like that. But we're starting to see quite a few mistakes defensively from Liverpool.
I think arguably, and this is potentially an unpopular opinion, it doesn't change how much I like the player at all and how good he has been previously. I think Van Dijk isn't the player that he was 2 seasons ago. I think he used to command his back line, and I think he's not necessarily a bad defender in the slightest. I just think he relies more on his partner now. You could almost stick anybody next to Van Dijk and you'd get a decent showing out of him. Now I feel like Van Dijk needs a decent partner, and I'm just not convinced by Canate at all.
Okay, so can I just throw a question out there, and you're probably going to hate me for you might. I don't know how you're going to take this actually. Van Dijk is quite often rated as being one of the best Premier League centre backs of all time. Now, for the period that he was at his peak, for the two seasons or so that he was at his peak, he probably was. But does longevity come into this? And you look at players like Rio and Terry who make it into these all-time Premier League. They did it for numerous years repeatedly. And Van Dijk, I'm not saying he's been bad. He has been a quality defender. But does he earn that all-time Premier League centre back grade? Now, yeah,
I think
it
he's
hasn't been planned, so I'm throwing this out there completely wild. So I know you've not had time to think about it.
I think the problem is you raise names, and I think the two names that immediately come to mind. I mean, I'd need time to really look into this to actually say anything, really give a decent sort of opinion. But the two names that immediately come to my mind that I think of legendary status as a centre back, I'm thinking of the likes of John Terry and Vidic. Do you know what I mean? And I just don't. I'm personally, and arguably, I didn't really watch Vidic that much. I watched Terry a little bit, but I didn't really watch Vidic that much. But it's just seeing clips, knowing what he achieved, seeing how good he was when you watch those like Premier League throwback games and all that sort of stuff. I'm not putting Van Dijk in that category for me. Like I'm just not. I don't know. Maybe it's because centre backs are built different now. Centre backs are different. They're different. They're definitely more on the ball. They definitely need to be smarter with their feet than they used to be. It's tough. I think ask me in 10 years, and maybe I'll have an answer. I don't know. What about you? What do you think?
No, I don't think it does. Like I said, I think longevity has to come into it, and he has had a long career in the Premier League. I'm not doubting that, but I'm saying at his peak, I don't think he's had the longevity.
Yes, I agree. I think you can say he was at his peak for what, three, maybe maximum 4 seasons.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And you think of, I don't know, it just felt like when you watch the likes of Terry, it's just in their DNA.
yeah. No, I can't. That's my view on it. I've had these conversations so much about Van Dijk, and I'm not saying he's overrated. He's not overrated, but yeah, I just don't think he's quite at that level to be put into these all-time greatest defenders lists. But anyway, back on track. Premier League, hit me.
Anyway, I think pretty much, other than the fact that there was some great on the line defending for Burnley, and I mean the chances, the opportunities Liverpool had, they should have won that game, and that's where the Schlopp discussion comes into it because he will be the one that faces the pressure because of that. They shouldn't be drawing to Burnley, particularly at home. I don't see him at Liverpool at the end of the season, if I'm honest. I think at some point he's going to go. It's that Thomas Frank situation as well, isn't it? It's inevitable. You feel like it's going to happen. There's no longevity in their reign at their clubs. It's just a case of when is it going to happen, not if. Um, so yeah, that's all I've really got on Liverpool Burnley. Anything else to say on Liverpool Burnley?
Just that I think Slot will be going at the end of the season, especially with a certain Xabi Alonso floating around, and he's come out today and said that he's quite happy having a break until June. Which what does that tell you? You know what I mean? So yeah, yeah, nothing else to say really.
Brilliant. Well, I'm sure there'll be more to talk about Liverpool in the coming weeks. On to, we're not quite at
Oh,
Tottenham West Ham
sorry,
yet.
just one final thing actually. Yes or no? Salah's coming back from AFCON. Does he go straight back in the squad?
No,
Okay, cool. That's it.
I don't think he does. I just don't think he's deserved. Like, and Burmo came back, and he deserved that spot. I don't think
But
many people would
he
argue.
did nothing wrong to lose a spot before he went to AFCON. So
Exactly.
yeah, completely. Yeah, that's two
Exactly.
different ends of the stick, is.
Yeah, I think that's where my head's at. If you did nothing to deserve to lose it, then you go straight back in. But that Salah was so up and down. Is he? Isn't he going to be dropped? And then he is, and then he's not, and then he's back at the start. Do you know what I mean? It was so all over the place that I just don't see him coming straight back in. Yeah, I just don't see it. Maybe one game in, two games in, who knows? Um, anyway, on to our fifth game. Sunderland 2, Crystal Palace 1. Well, I want to call this the game of the screamers because there was some really good goals in this game. One was disallowed. So we've got Jeremy, not Jeremy. I always want to call him Jeremy. It's Jeremy Pino, isn't it? It's not Jeremy. It's Jeremy Pino. Scored. I mean, it was quite lucky. It was quite a lucky finish, but it was a lovely finish to put Palace ahead. And then Sunderland turned it up. Sunderland, Lefay, I'm a big fan of Lefay. I really like him as a player. He made it 1-1. It was an absolute masterclass in terms of what Brian Brobby was doing, just occupying the defenders, and they didn't see Lefay, essentially. He just came in, and Brobby was doing exactly what you want him to do in that team. If he's not scoring the goals, he's occupying the defenders so somebody else can. And then I think it was later on, it was Brian Brobby again. Again, I think it was close to the end. I think there's some late winners this game. I should put the minute down when he scored. Absolute disgraceful finish. Now, if you've not seen the winner for Sunderland, you should. It looked impossible. It looked like the physics didn't match up that went in. It was just, yeah, it was a really lovely finish. Sunderland come out with 3 points. But I think the main talking point from a Palace perspective was the post-match interview.
Yeah, so again, that's the only sort of thing I've seen from this game, really. In terms of Sunderland, look, I've spoke highly of them all season. I think that just as far as Sunderland go now, you just enjoy it, enjoy the ride because you're safe. You're gonna have another year in the Prem next season, so yeah, just enjoy it. I've just noticed my hair keeps dropping on there. I've not even got a cap on today, Grace. What is going on?
On.
I know. Yeah, I told you I'm not bald. Um, yeah, yeah, Sunderland fair play, just enjoy it, and it's a good win. I think you've negotiated the AFCON period quite well because I think they were one of the most affected teams from the AFCON um, tournament. So yeah, fair enough. I've not really got too much to say on them. Good win. One thing I did want to say actually, I saw a clip of Sunderland and the atmosphere. Again, we spoke about this already, but the atmosphere at that Stadium of Light sounded incredible. Like before, during, and after the game, absolute Sunderland fair play. Can't can't beat it. Yeah, Palace really. This seemed to me like, and we're seeing this a little bit too often from managers. They're speaking openly in the hope to get a sack from the owners so they get the payout. That seems to me what Glasner was kind of maybe hinting towards. I know he came out and said, "Oh, I'll be here until the very end." I'm like, you're gonna say that in terms of the fans and the players, but if you got sacked tomorrow, I don't think he'd be too bothered. They'd get a payout from Palace, and do you know what? In terms of what he said, I fully agree with him.
It's hard to, and I don't really tend to agree with or sorry, it's hard not to. I don't tend to agree with managers very much when they speak out of turn, if you like. But I mean, what Palace are doing at the moment, there's been, I mean, Gay's gone, which is a massive miss. They've lost Eze, and there's rumours for the likes of Mateta going as well. It just feels like, what are you doing? Like, hang on
Especially
a second.
especially after that FA Cup win, you think, well, look, this is a club where players might want to join now. And you look at Brennan Johnson, I think he maybe agreed a move to Palace with the hopes of Glasner being the manager next season. And you think maybe Palace are on the up, and then the owners just sort of set themselves on fire in a way. It's kind of it's crazy. The I think a lot of this as well was the whole drama with Nottingham Forest. The whole Conference League, Europa League sort of thing. And then did Forest send a letter or something about Palace. I can't remember the drama at the
Got
start
on
of
the
the season.
drama.
And I've got my opinions on Forest, but yeah, all that, and the owners didn't really sort of defend it, and they sort of kind of just accepted the fate a little bit. And it's, I don't know, it's, I mean, Palace fans have to get in the comments and sort of give us their opinion on it, but yeah, it's a crazy decision. I've not really seen a club sort of set themselves on fire like this for a long time.
Well, this is interesting, and I don't mean to bring it back to West Ham at all, but we were in a similar situation
Well, yeah, you
when
could.
we won the Conference League, where fans, so many people can say, oh, why did you sack Moyes, all that sort of thing. First of all, we didn't sack Moyes. Moyes just didn't agree to sign another contract. It was mutual. There was no sacking involved. It was a parting of ways. Anyway, got that out. The thing is that when you support a team like Palace, like West Ham, you get these moments. You get these moments, they're rare, but you get the moments like a Conference League win, like an FA Cup win. And that's when your name becomes something in Europe. That's when you become a bit more attractive and you have to push on. You have to push on at that point because those situations are so rare that you have to grasp them when they're available to you. You're not going to do that again. It's about building, isn't it? And this was the situation at West Ham where I think in a sense we attempted to, unlike Palace who seemed to just be capitulating a little bit. I think we attempted to, we just did it cheaply and therefore it didn't work. Whereas Palace, it's like I can understand the fans' frustration. You just want a bloody FA Cup for God's sake. Like that's massive for the club. They've become something in Europe. They've become a name. They've become more attractive. I mean, arguably winning the Conference League makes you a little bit more attractive in Europe as such because it's a European competition rather than the FA Cup. But the FA Cup is still a massive trophy, and it is an attractive thing for footballers. You have to push on. And for me, if I was Palace, the one thing I would be doing if I was Palace owner, I think it's Parish, isn't it? If I was Parish, I would be trying to keep Glasner because he's the key for me. Back him, he gets you results. He attracts players. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And selling as a yeah, that one I kind of get money wise and letting one player go is one thing, but I mean they are just it just doesn't make sense to me. They're capitulating and it's not the fans' fault at all.
Yeah, and it's not just a case of like again the Eze. I can see that coming because was he close to his contract running out anyway?
I think so. I think so.
Um,
Yeah.
so you can't lose a player like that on a free. But it's not just they lost Michael Elise, didn't they, from the club, and they lost Eze, and they lost. There's talks of them losing Mateta, and you've lost your manager, but there's no sign of replacing any of these. That's kind of the problem, and where I'd be frustrated as a Palace fan. Like, okay, yeah, you brought Brennan Johnson in, but it was I've got my opinions on him. He's won as a Europa League, but the yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of like all just fallen flat with Palace really, and that's just sort of the best way I can describe it. All I can say is I'm sorry to the Palace fans because you don't really deserve any of this. You've done nothing wrong. You've turned up every week. You've supported your club. You all put money into the club endlessly. You had a fantastic FA Cup run, which resulted in a win, and it's just not been capitalised on. Which again, we
Yeah,
can
and I think it's football fans.
sorry, we
Sorry,
can
you carry
like
on.
you said, you highlighted West Ham, but we can highlight Tottenham in that sort of case as well, where they won the Europa League and just not really capitalised on it. And but I don't know, it just seems like at least with Tottenham, they've sort of tried to do something in terms of like the Xavi Simons and the Kolo Muanis and Mateus Tell and all that sort of stuff. And okay, it's not quite clicked, and they brought a new manager in which they thought was going to work, but yeah, there's just no sign of this Eze replacement and all stuff like that. And yeah, I don't. It's hard. It's sort of sad to see, really.
Yeah, and it's disheartening. It's disheartening because you support your football club and you get this little success, and that excitement is completely reliant on your club taking advantage of it. And it's really depressing. I mean, even as a West Ham fan, we looked like we were trying to, but we did it cheap. So, at least there was intent there. It was just done badly. At Palace, it just doesn't feel like there's any intent. And that would, as a football fan, that would be really disheartening because you think under that ownership, you do anything, you win anything, you look exciting in any sort of degree. You've got no reliance on the board making that, making that as permanent as they possibly can do it. It's just this is what's hard about football is you're completely reliant on who runs your club.
Yeah, I mean, I've got two questions for you before we move on from the game. Does Mateta leave in the January?
I've heard it's PSG who are interested. Am I right?
Uh, Couldn't tell you. I've heard that he wants to leave, and I've heard there's links. I can't remember what club. It might be PSG, and if it is, do you say no to a PSG?
He's French as well. He's French. I think it was PSG. I could be chatting out of my arse, but I think it's
Would you like
PSG.
me to fact check it for you?
Could you fact check? Because
Well, I'll tell you what.
I'll keep talking. I'll keep talking.
While I'm fact checking that, my other question was, where does Glasner? Which we covered this in the transfer window a little bit. Where does Glasner go next? Because he already has confirmed he's definitely leaving at the end of the season. Which I think when we did the transfer one, it was heavily, heavily linked and sort of assumed. Where he's actually come out and said he is leaving now. So where does he go from here?
We take his pick. He's got a lot of options. There's no doubt. And the truth is it's difficult now because you don't know how Liam Rosenior is going to get on. You don't know where Schlott's going to be. You don't know. You never know. Pep could turn around and say, "I'm leaving at the end of the season." It literally could be anybody. It could be another European giant. I think he genuinely has his pick. I think it's who's available. I think you're right potentially, but for Glasner, I think there's going to be a lot of options available to him.
So I'm scrolling through Sky Sports now briefly. Crystal Palace face losing another key player with Jean-Philippe Mateta open to a new challenge. He could join Mark Gahey in leaving the club this month. You cannot lose him this month. That is insane. Uh,
Criminal.
let's have a look. So it says several Premier League clubs and Juventus are interested in signing him.
Oh, where did I get PSG from then?
Hey, they might be shot.
Oh, I don't even know.
But yeah, Juventus, and I think I do actually remember Juventus being thrown out there. But yeah, I mean, you can see Juventus as well, though. To be fair, let me put in PSG. Jean Philippe. This is terrible podding. I do apologise.
Uh, oh no, 606 days ago. Maybe I've just actually, maybe it was Juventus then. I mean, that's still one heck of a move. I don't think you can say no to.
No, no. I mean, to be fair, everything that's coming up here. Oh, PSG are eyeing Jean Philippe Mateta as Crystal Palace, but that has come from the Sun. So
Oh, okay. Don't trust it then.
do with yeah,
Trust it.
do with that
Oh,
as
pretend I didn't say PSG. Let's say Juventus. I don't know where I read that, what
Do you
I
want to? Do you
saw,
want to? Do
whether
you want
I
me
just
to?
read it wrong.
Do you want me to start again? And we'll just pretend that you know what you're doing. Grace, where do you think Jean Philippe Mateta will go?
I think John Philippe Mateta, because he's been linked with Juventus, and I'm certain of that. I think he, if he gets offered Juventus, he should 100% go. That's
Yeah,
a move.
yeah, yeah. No, fair enough. Yeah,
And to be fair, he showed it because he scored a goal in this game that was disallowed. That goal deserved to stand, not because it wasn't offside. It was offside. It should have been chalked off. But a goal of that quality deserves to stand. Another one that you should 100% watch because it was just, delightful. Showed his quality. He was showing off to Juventus.
okay, I think just running through the games in my head. I think we're at that point, aren't we?
We're at that point. I'm a happy girl today. Hang on, let me see if I can show you. I went to work today. I've got a blue top on and I don't know whether you can see it, I've got a burgundy skirt on. I've gone
I can
full
see the
West Ham.
necklace. I can see the necklace. We don't need to say too much about this game. What else have we got to cover tonight?
Great depth and detail about this game. It was, I mean, I was texting you, wasn't I? I was terrible in the second half. I'm sorry. I was literally
No, no, sorry.
watching through my hoodie. It was horrendous. First half, do you want me to run through it?
I don't want to talk about this game at all, mate. So I mean, I'm just happy glossing over 2-1 West Ham. Let's just move on. Sweet.
So this game went essentially how I thought it would, which was West Ham scored reasonably early, actually. Tottenham started all right. They started all right. They were definitely threatening. It could have been because West Ham was shit at the back, but they looked like they started all right. And then all of a sudden, West Ham turned it on. Should have been about 3-0 up at half time, to be honest with you. Somerville did finish one though. He had way too much time on the ball to take that shot. This is a recurring theme for Tottenham. And it was a really nice finish. I am so beyond thrilled for Crescencio Somerville. I could do a whole podcast on how happy I am for him getting a Premier League goal. He is growing in confidence, and I think we've spoken about it on the podcast before that. It just takes one player to really start shining for somebody's escape to begin, if you know what I mean. And if that's Somerville, I'm very pleased about that. Yeah, we should have been up 3-0 last time, to be honest with you. We had multiple opportunities we should have buried. But it was a game of two halves. There's no doubt it was a game of two halves.
Well,
Go on.
so obviously, like I said, I've not really seen anything. Obviously, the Tottenham West Ham game is one that I have seen the highlights on Match of the Day of, and I don't know if this was just Match of the Day, the way they sort of the highlights they spewed out, or what. From what I saw, we didn't look that bad. But then I've only seen the Match of the Day highlights. So obviously, like you said earlier on, Mateus Tell firing that one over the crossbar from early on. Uh, this is sort of where Mateus Tell has to sort of like really make his own, because he's like there's been rumours of him like being dropped and all this sort of stuff, and he has to be finishing them chances if he wants to be given this like sort of time at Tottenham. But yeah, that sort of one from that distance as well. You've got at least got to hit the target. But other than that, I didn't think we looked that bad. But you told me that we looked awful. So like I said, I've only seen the Match of the Day once.
And I'm not even just saying that. Like, I'll be honest with you. I imagine, and look, it could be the same for a lot of the highlights that we watch for games that we don't watch fully. It didn't tell the whole story because I'll be honest with you, I didn't really sense much of a goal threat from Tottenham in the first half. I think it was they potentially had the ball, they were stopping mistakes. It just didn't look good. Whereas I can easily say in the second half, they bucked up their ideas and they did look much better and the intensity was much better. It was a really strange thing. I mean, God, I think you had about 14 corners or something. It was insane. You were just peppering us in that second half. Um, you got the goal. Romero got himself. I think it was a header. The Porro ball in was very nice. 1-1. As a West Ham fan, I'm thinking the absolute worst by this point. But we clung on, and dear God, did we cling on for our dear lives? It was a lot. That second half was mentally draining. I mean, I had colleagues texting me going, "Oh my God, my nerves are just gone," and they're not even West Ham fans. I mean, it was a lot, but it was progress because we held on, and we have not been able to do that this season. And what was really interesting was that substitution for us in the second half. In the I think there was like 6 minutes of extra time, and that substitution of Wilson on was interesting because I get the vibe from Nuno that he was willing to shut up shop and just try and play for that draw because the point is all right. You know, it's not the worst thing in the world. You'd rather come away with a point than nothing, but we need 3 points. That's the truth of it. Um, and we've got a new backroom staff member who is a manager himself. I saw a tweet the other day that was like, he's a bit batshit. And I think he possibly suggested the Wilson on in the 90th minute. And to be honest with you, I saw it and was like, too late, too late. He's not going to be able to make his mark. He had two opportunities and arguably should have buried both. I mean, the first one was arguably a better opportunity. And then we got a corner. It was absolute pinball in the box. And it felt like that it went in the back of the net, but it felt like VAR was trying to find every way to disallow it. Couldn't disallow it. And we got all 3 points. It was delightful in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and again, look, I'd love to be able to sit here and go on one of my rants about Tottenham, but I didn't see the game, so that I chose the one week where both our teams are playing each other to go away and not watch any football. It's a shame, but look, do you know what the one of the guys I was out with on Saturday is a big Tottenham fan as well, and it's the first time I've ever said this about any manager, but I actually said Frank out. That he's got to go. You can't lose to, and I don't just mean this in like a disrespectful way, but you can't lose to West Ham, especially in the form that you're in at the minute and the consistency that we've had. And just listening to you talk there, it just sounds like a typical Tottenham game. Like we was sloppy. Um, the goal from the corner, which we've had repeatedly since Vicario's been in the goal for us, even under different managers. He, I sort of from the winner, I sort of saw some stuff where like Vicario was maybe blocked off, but I'm not saying he was because he's been shocking on corners his entire Tottenham career, which I thought he was getting a little bit better at, but clearly not. The Tottenham goal, Romero, I love Romero. I think it's quality. It was a great header as well, powerful header and he was giving it all this money to the fans, and I love Romero. He's quality, and we need 11 Romeros on the pitch in terms of spirit wise, Tottenham, because
Yeah,
they don't really show enough fight. And like you said, they came out in the second half like absolutely flying, and that's what we did against Villa in the cup. And it's just not enough. If we're playing like that at second half, why are we not doing that from the beginning? It's so frustrating. But I think Frank's got to go, and there was big talks that he was going to get sacked over the week over Sunday, and I was expecting a release maybe Monday morning. I thought Monday morning they might go, which at the time recording would have been this morning, saying that he's been relieved of his duties. It never came. In fact, they've released a statement saying that he is going to be in charge of the Dortmund game. And to be fair, thinking about it, I've just noticed you rolled your eyes there, but thinking about it, it does kind of make sense because we've got no squad. We've got no squad. I wanted to ask you about the Ben Davis because the only thing that I've heard is that he got stretchered off. I don't know what happened, but I saw him that he's got stretchered off, so he's out injured. Conor Gallagher can't play because he's not registered for it. They've announced this afternoon that Mateus Tel has been dropped from the Champions League squad in replace for Solanke, which again, Solanke's not fully fit, so we're so depleted. So it's a lose-lose against Dortmund. If we win, it's going to give Frank more time. If we lose, we've lost a manager, and we're going to fall even further down the Champions League. So it's just exhausting talking about them at the minute. And the only questions I have got is the Ben Davis, and I wanted to know what your thoughts were on Conor Gallagher.
so Ben Davis, it was a difficult one actually because it wasn't a really obvious situation where I go, oh, he's pulled a hamstring, he's twisted his knee, or sometimes it's really obvious. It looked like a knee injury, to be honest with you, and it didn't look good because of being stretched off. It could have been a precautionary thing. It didn't look good, and I worry for the likes of Ben Davis given his age.
Okay,
Um,
sorry, here we go. Just come up here now. Ben Davis to undergo injury as it's confirmed he has suffered from a fractured ankle.
Fractured ankle. Now I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah,
I
so
wouldn't
that's
have guessed that.
yeah, that's what's been reported here. Yeah, fractured ankle. Yeah,
I
not
thought it was like a twisted knee or something. That
yeah,
was my vibe.
not
Um,
not too much else to say on it at the minute. Just says that he's undergoing surgery, but he's going to be out for a while now, and he's that's his probably season done. To be fair.
Yeah, probably. And I thought it was an interesting choice to start him, to be honest. I thought that was an interesting choice. And I would have, from a neutral point of view, it would have been interesting to see how that played out. I feel really bad for him actually because it wasn't, there's sometimes overwhelming emotion when players get stretched off, but for him, it just felt like, oh shit, here we go again. Do you know what I mean? Like more time out. And I just felt for him. He just looked really he just looked really out of it when he was stretching off. He wasn't crying or showing deep amounts of emotion. He just looked fed up. So that was a shame. Conor Gallagher was sprightly. He was looking to influence that game, but to be honest with you, it wasn't the type of game that he could boss, if you know what I mean. There were so many more variables, such as the physicality of it being a derby, and it definitely is more physical. It definitely is. It was a game that was full of big tackles and um, you know, bits of heated moments, all that sort of stuff. Big tackles more than anything. Um, yeah, it just didn't feel like he could imprint himself as much as he wanted to, but he looked good. He looked like Conor Gallagher. We all know Conor Gallagher, and he didn't necessarily he scared me a bit when he was running towards our defence. He's quite difficult in that sense, but
Which is what we need because we haven't got a player that can scare midfielders and defenders anymore. But there is something as well about a new player that I think a new player just looks good in a white shirt, regardless of the club, whether it's Tottenham or Madrid or something. Just in a fresh white shirt, a new player looks it just looks good. I don't know if
I can tell you, it is only fans of clubs that wear white shirts that think
All right, maybe that's just my opinion. But so up here, look, they've announced the team news for Dortmund. João Palhinha is still out. Conor Gallagher, Yves Bissouma, Matthias Tell, and Radu Dragusin are all not registered for the game. Xavi Simons is available. Pape Matar, from what I've heard, didn't play the final of AFCON because he's ill, so I don't think he's going to be back in time either. So we're just Grace. I think at this point, me and you might be getting called up because we've got nobody. We've got nobody. At least I'll show a bit of fight on the pitch. You know what I mean?
yeah, and don't call me up. I would genuinely 2 foot somebody just on purpose.
I don't mind that. That's fine as long as you show a bit of fight.
Well, I would, but for the wrong team.
So on the app that I'm going on here, it says possible lineups, and they're putting Kevin Danzo and Basuma in the squad, and Colin Mawani back on the left with Solanke up top, and it's just we're so depleted, man. I just don't really know where else. What else? Our injuries and suspensions list is insane. Like before we move on, because I've literally not got anything else to say, but I'm just going to run through this. Right, Richarlison, Madison, Bentancur, Archie Gray, Ben Davis, Kulusevski, João Palhinha, Mohamed Kudus, Papi Matar, and Mickey van der Ven are all out for the game. 10 players.
No, you're joking
Yeah.
me. I
Rich,
mean,
Van der Ven is because he picked up too many yellow cards.
right, okay. I was going to say he didn't look injured to me, but Archie Gray was interesting because I would argue he was your best player in the first half, and then all of a sudden he was coming off at half time.
Yeah, I will just say that actually, something did pop up about Archie Gray saying that they don't think he's injured. I think it was a precautionary thing, but I think he might be available, and the app might not updated. I think it was precautions, but I mean, even that, 10 players, man. Do you know what I mean? I'm not making excuses. I do think Thomas Frank is to blame for this. I don't think he's really sort of he's not to blame for the injuries because that could just happen any day. But I do think we do need a change of manager. But yeah, I'm not looking forward to that Dortmund
You
game.
need to look into your medical room. That's
Oh
that's
yeah,
the
yeah,
thing for
100%.
me.
What I want
What
Matt,
is going on?
but what annoys me is was it did they put like an Indeed post out asking for like an entire new medical staff at the start of the season? So whoever we had during Angie's reign, we've binned them off and we've got a load of more people in who clearly aren't as good anymore. And like I said to you on the last podcast, what's frustrating is they'll say, "Oh, it's just a little bit of a knock, maybe 1 or 2 games," and you don't see him for another 6 months. And it's yeah, I I don't know.
Yeah,
I,
pain.
I,
Very pain.
I can't even argue anymore. Move on.
No.
Move on. Good
Yeah,
for you.
okay.
Well done.
Let's move on. West Ham got 3 points. We're nowhere near staying up. But it's a good start. It's a good start. And I'm excited that we got 3 points because I am actually at the game on Saturday. So I'm looking forward to seeing Sunderland as well, getting to watch them, but hopefully beating Sunderland. That would just be what the doctor ordered. That would be
We
delightful. I'm not getting my hopes up, but you never know.
I know we've briefly spoken about a podcast day out to a game, which is West Ham Wolves. Which, if we do end up going to, that could be a big game for you. I think that's around April time as well, or something on it. Which we could that could be huge.
Absolutely could be massive. Could be massive. And I really hope we're still in that situation where it could be massive, if you know what I mean. I hope we're not dead and buried by that point. Um, yeah, that could be a very, very interesting. I mean, it could be the case that I'm in the blog to begin with, but then I'm so pissed off afterwards that I just cannot be in the blog. So
Gonna start two
who
footing me.
knows how that
I'll
one's
start the
gonna
ground
go.
out.
Yeah, literally. Anyway, let's move on to some extremely boring games. Not too much to say about these ones.
Yeah, let's roll through them.
First one, Nottingham Forest nil, Arsenal nil. What a bore. I mean, a great point for Forest, no doubt. Arsenal, I mean, I saw Rice getting upset because, Rice sort of talking to himself at the end of the game, sort of, they're the type of games that Arsenal need to win. They're lucky in a sense that the rest of the teams around them didn't do any damage. But But that's frustrating. That's really frustrating for Arsenal fans. And Martinelli should have scored, 100% should have scored. Um, and yeah, there's not too much I can say other than some great saves, and I absolutely love Murillo. That's literally in my notes.
Yeah, no, all I'm going to say is we've said this every week, I think, pretty much, and a recurrence throughout the season. When a team has a chance to capitalise on other teams, they never do it. Do you know what I mean? And okay, it's slightly different because they played earlier, but Man City lost the game. So if they'd have won it, they'd have put more pressure on Arsenal. Then you could sort of understand maybe Arsenal slipping up because they had the pressure of Man City bearing down on them. But with Man City losing, you think Arsenal should go out there and just go complete gung ho, go win the game 3 or 4 nil, and you're kind of putting the league almost to bed. You know what I mean? So
Mm.
it's yeah, it's a missed opportunity, and that's been a recurrence for every team up and down the league this season. I think.
Yeah, and that's why this season is so interesting because I mean I'm pretty sure nobody would have said Forest Arsenal would be 0-0. That is a out of the blue, and it's the same with a lot of these predictions this week. It is just a lottery at the moment. It feels like a lottery. Nobody is taking command of this title. You know how we've seen City do it so many times, make a statement, and sort of be like, no, that title is ours. I'm just not getting that from Arsenal. And as we get closer, I'm starting to convince myself that Arsenal are going to win, but I'm having to convince myself they're not convincing me, if you know what I mean. I think it's just going to be a slow trudge to the finish line.
Yeah. Well, like I say, they've been fortunate enough this season where the quality from teams around them just hasn't been there. And look, I'm not going to say Leicester vibes because it's not that type of season. So don't get at me. But it just sort of feels like the that sort of season where the big teams had dropped off, and this it does. It's now or never.
Yeah, 100% it's now or never. And I think as the season closes, we'll talk about this way more, dependent on Arsenal's position. But this has to be it for Arteta. He's got the best squad in the league. Do you know what I mean? That squad is insane. The players that he's got, the excuse the pun, the Arsenal on the bench is insane. You got the likes of Eze not getting as many minutes as he would hope for, and we know the quality of Eze, and yes, that this is going to be something we talk about a lot, I imagine, over the next coming weeks.
We spoke about Arsenal needing that squad depth and stuff, so it's a luxury having a player like Eze and being able to put him on the bench for most of the time. But just the last thing I'll say on this game is the memes that we will get if Arsenal bottle the league. They're still in the FA Cup, and if they lose that, if they still lose the League Cup and they lose the Champions League, if they go trophyless this season, it'll be peak football for me, regardless of where Tottenham finish. As long as it's not relegation, it'll be peak football.
Yeah, oh God. I mean, look, I'm not going to get into my feelings on Arsenal winning the league and all that sort of, I think I've pretty much said it before that I'm not the biggest fan of Arsenal winning the league.
Well, look,
Um,
it's a podcast with two other London club fans, so take listeners take that as what you will.
Literally, exactly. I think you can come to your own conclusion based on that fact. From a Forest perspective, though, great point. Does a point serve them much at the moment? I'm not sure. I think they're always looking for 3 points, but look, a point is a point. Get it on the board. And
It's a point that on the run up to this game they wouldn't have expected that point, so it's a good point in many ways.
100%, it's a good point. And I think it's one of those ones where the damage that West Ham did by winning was minimised a little bit because they got themselves a point, which is keeps it interesting, I guess. From a West Ham point of view, it was absolutely infuriating because the one time I wanted Arsenal to batter somebody, they didn't. They were unable to do it. Urgh, so annoying. Anyway, on to another 0-0. Wolves nil, Newcastle nil. Oh God. Even my dad turned to me and went, "What a stinker!" I mean, it's Wolves looked all right. Wolves looked all right. Newcastle infuriate me away from home. They can't put chances to bed. They have no end product, none at all. Lots of missed opportunities. Voltemada, I mean, he had a header that he should have buried. Puts into question his aerial ability. For such a tall man, he should 100% have that as an advantage. And I just don't know how he didn't at least get a shot on target.
I think
Um,
when he signed for the club, I think he'd scored the first three games from headers alone, and people were saying like, "Oh, is this like a big part of your game?" And he did come out and say, "No, look, I'm not actually very good with my head for a tall player." So maybe it is just a weak point, and the first few games had maybe shadowed that a little bit. Well, I don't know. For a big man, you kind of want to be using your head quite well, right?
Absolutely. Oh my God, if I'm signing a striker who's over 6'2" and he can't head a ball, Jesus Christ, I'm bringing in a specialist. I'm being like, no, we can't have this. If you're a striker and you're over 6'2", you have to be absolutely clinical with your head. And there's no, for you to stay and play in my team, that has to be one of the things you're good at for the height you have. No, if you're not a threat from corners at that height, Jesus Christ, no, and I'm not having that.
Yeah, no, that's a fair comment.
Other than that, I mean, one thing I did want to bring up was Stan Larson. He came off the bench 60th minute or something. Should a player of his quality be on the bench? Is my question.
Is he on the bench because of rumored links away?
I think so. I think so, but arguably, would he come on for half an hour if that was such a problem? If you know what I mean.
Look, it's hard to say because we don't know the backstory to it. Whether he maybe felt something and didn't think he could do the full 90 minutes with a player like that. If let's talk about it being an injury, or not an injury, but maybe like a niggle. He won't feeling like he could do a full 90 minutes. I would rather him come on for the last half an hour and give absolutely everything in the tank than play the first half of the game and not be able to give everything that he's got. A player like in that instance, you want a player to come on who can just run the defense ragged for 30 minutes and try and nick a goal. If we're talking in terms of a transfer, it's kind of hard. I think you have a player at a club and you should be giving your all regardless of whether you're linked away or not. For me, if I was a player and I'm playing for a club and I'm being linked away, I would want to play the best I've ever played to secure that move. So why would you not? I never understand this whole throw the toys out the pram and just I'm sitting on the bench and I'm not doing this and I'm not doing that because it never looks good at the club you're going to next.
Yeah, well, to be fair, I have seen something again. This is reliable as Mateta going to PSG, so do not take this as reliable. I have seen that he's not thrown his toys out the pram. Apparently, he has been very professional in terms of playing, even though he's rumoured to go away. I'm pretty sure Rob Edwards has said that
And
he's
this is
not.
why it's hard to comment on the situation because we don't know. We just don't know. That's what I'm saying. If it's an injury, I want him
Yeah,
coming for that last half an hour or not an injury, but like a niggle or whatever. He comes on and just smashes them half an hour and gives it absolutely everything he's got. If it's a transfer, then I'm just giving my opinion on that. So I think I did
yeah,
want
no,
to ask, sorry, I did want to ask one question actually about this was going back to the Glasner comments we were talking about earlier. Now, I don't know if this is a sport thing, but obviously, if you got sacked from your job tomorrow, you wouldn't get paid the rest of your salary. So
yeah, yeah.
why do we do it with football managers? And it would stop all of this. I know it's like contracts and whatever, but it would stop all of this, wouldn't it? It would stop them coming out and trying to get themselves sacked in press conferences or at post game comments or whatever. It would stop all that. So I don't understand. Like, I wouldn't get paid out if I got sacked from my job. So why do managers get it?
Well, this is the problem with the industry of football, though, is there's more money than sense. Managers can walk in and demand that. It's like, okay, I'm going to have the rest of us could not go into our normal jobs and dispute a whole contract, make up that contract ourselves. Pretty much managers can. Do you know what I mean? They can walk in and go, because I think it's that one. I think it's that because the club wants me situation, they almost feel like they've got the power to make those sort of, create those clauses, to it is one of those because the club wants me situations that enables that. And I'm not saying it's right at all. I really don't think it's right, but there's so much money in the game, so much money that it is just tossed about essentially,
So
and that is one of those ways.
is there ever a world where clubs start to think, well, actually, if we do sack you, you're not getting paid out? Or is that just how it's going to be forever?
I think there would have to be full Premier League rule that that happens. Like it would have to be an unwritten rule type. We're all going to do it from this season onwards for that to ever stop because the fear of doing that, the problem with doing that is you become unattractive to other managers because
Yeah,
they
yeah.
know they can go potentially somewhere worse and get a massive payday even if they're sacked. Do you know what I mean? I don't think one team could do it, but the rest not. I
Yeah,
just don't
fair
think
enough.
anyone's going to do that.
Yeah, yeah,
Interesting point, though.
yeah.
Really
Yeah,
interesting.
I just don't get it. But there you go. Like you say, that's the world we're in, isn't it?
Yeah, and we live normal lives. They don't.
Yeah.
They live in God knows amount of money, and it's just a whole other world to us. To us normaltons, it's a whole other world. Um, Other than that, anything else to say on Wolves Newcastle? Can we go on to our last game?
Ah, let's do it. Last game.
Aston Villa nil, Everton one. Another one that I just did not expect to happen. I thought Villa at home they will get a comfortable win here. They lost John McGinn quite early, which I think was a problem for them. I think he carries a lot of what Villa are all about at the moment, even if it's just energy, and not necessarily having a lot of energy. I mean the energy he brings, the aura, the sort of I don't know, togetherness that he provides for Villa. I think that's more important than they would potentially admit to. I think what's funny is Marlon would have been an excellent substitution for them yesterday. Magnificent substitution. I don't understand why they let him go and not replaced him. You would say, yes, fine, not a problem, but we need a replacement lined up before we do that.
Remind me what is his actual confirmed position on the pitch? Because I've seen him play all over.
I think he is a striker.
He's just out and out striker.
I'm almost certain he is. You got me second guessing now.
I've seen him play. I don't know if I've seen him play in the midfield at some point. And that might just be me not. I might just be making this up completely. But yeah, I think we spoke about this in our transfer podcast where Marlon is a fantastic player, and I think it's a shame that Villa let him go. Really.
Sorry, I'm just reading. Yeah, so he's a centre forward,
Okay.
but he can also operate on the wings. So yeah,
Yeah.
he's quite versatile.
Yeah, well, yeah, you spot on. Like I said, we spoke about this in the transfer, and I think Marlon is a fantastic player, and he deserves to be in the Prem. Absolutely. I know we always say about this, like, look, every player wants to play in the Prem, and maybe some don't. Maybe some are just not that bothered. They're just happy playing wherever. And I would have expected him to stay with Villa, competing for the title. So yeah, it's a bit similar to what I said about Brennan Johnson. You know what I mean? It's like,
Sorry, say all of that again because you froze for me.
oh, where did we get up to?
Um, Playing in the Premier League not being for everyone.
Yeah, it might just not be for everybody, and it felt a bit like Brendan Johnson move away from Tottenham. Like you kind of expect him to stay there, but maybe he's not happy starting every week or something. So, and like you just said about him being a good substitution, I said the other week about Richarlison winning the pitch high up near the corner flag, and there was nobody in the box. Who would have been there? Brendan Johnson. So it's you don't weigh up these options when a player leaves the club.
Yeah, it's so tough because you'll bang on. There are so many motivations in football. Some's money, some's playing time, some's loyalty, some's there's so many different motivations, and we all do expect them to want to play in the Premier League, and one of the greatest footballers ever has in Messi has never played in the Premier League. It's it's a difficult one because we all expect them to want to be here, but the truth is they don't have to be here. And if you're not getting the playing time, and Marlon is way too good for us, but he's the type of player I would have wanted us to go after because we could give him starting 11 football 100%. We could do. He'd be one of the first names on the team sheet almost certainly. And do you know what? If that's your priority, then I'm not going to have a go at you.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean in terms of the result, again, I've not seen any of the games. So, great 3 points for Everton. They've had a very 50-50 season. They've won quite a few and they've lost quite a few. So that's just kind of why they are in the middle of the table, really.
Yeah, and I think that was a 3 points they weren't expecting, and they just caught Villa on an off day. To be honest, it didn't. Even Morgan Rogers was on an off day.
Well, this is what we were saying earlier. Teams not capitalising on other teams again, isn't it? This is the story of the season, really.
Yeah, was the pressure too much? Did they see all of the results come in? You know, what was it? When did Arsenal play? They played Saturday night, didn't they? So yeah, they would have seen City's game, they would have seen Arsenal's game. They had sort of what, nearly 24 hours to prepare for that. And maybe it was just too much. Maybe, I think we both said that we don't expect Villa to go on and win the league. We don't, there's no expectation there. It's lovely the position they're in, but I'm not sure any of us are saying, oh yeah, they're going to go and hit Arsenal to the post. So, I think it was a bad day for Villa. Bad day
No, no, I was just looking. I was trying to
for
find
Villa in my
remember
books.
when Villa played at the weekend, but I'm just having a look at where they are on the table. 43. Yeah, you missed opportunity, innit? They've been in second, putting pressure on Arsenal. So that's yeah. We don't, like you said, we don't expect them to win the league. But yeah, missed opportunity. As simple as that, really. Maybe just an off day.
Yeah, and I think that's the perfect time to sort of end the podcast because I think it sums it up. Missed opportunity. That's
Yeah,
literally this season. I think and there's another game on tonight, isn't there? We
yeah.
can't we can't record tomorrow night, so we had to record tonight.
Yes, so we won't count this towards our weekly predictions, but do you want to just throw a little prediction out for Brighton Bournemouth?
Oh, what did I put on my Instagram? That is a great. Oh, I should know this.
Okay, well
Hang on, give me
while you're
two.
doing that, I'll
Go
get
on, you
my
do yours.
Bournemouth. Is this the first game without Semenyo in the league? Have they played?
No, I want to say no. Hang on. I can tell you that. I can tell you it. Yes, no,
Yes,
it is.
yes,
It is.
they played Newcastle in the FA Cup, so it'll be interesting to see really what how sort of Bournemouth really adjust to that. Brighton again, the 50-50, they can turn you over. It is at Brighton's ground, so I'm gonna. Oh, I don't know. I'm gonna go for a 2-0 Brighton win.
I'm doing the same thing. That is exactly what I'm for. Yeah, I think Brighton will win this one. I like them at the Amex. I always back them at the Amex. I think they are so up and down. It's infuriating, but I think at the Amex they're a force to be reckoned with at points. And I think Bournemouth are going into this in not great form, to be brutally honest.
So what are you saying, 2-0?
2-0. Yeah, same as you.
I'm gonna have to go 2-1 just so we get a winner because I can't be doing draws. I will go 2.
Okay.
I will give you 2-0. Yeah, no, I mean, the listeners, right? Like I said, I've said it all podcast. I've not seen anything, so a big, massive round of applause to Grace for today because she's out the park. And
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm just here being all charming and stuff. So yeah, no, fair play, Grace. Well, who was your game? What was your game of the week?
Oh, game of the week. I haven't made my. Oh my god, it has to be West Ham Tottenham. It has to be.
It doesn't,
Like just purely.
doesn't.
Well, like just, well, not for you, but just purely from a bite. I'm fully biased in saying this. West Ham Tottenham. Like I just yeah, that's my answer for today. I'm going fully biased.
It felt like a very flat game week, to be honest. There weren't many games that sort of like I looked at the score and was like, "Well, I need to watch that." For me, I'd probably say Man City, Man United. Manchester.
Yeah, Manchester Derby would be my second
From
one.
what I saw of it, Man United were quality. So yeah, fair play. But yeah, no, well done today, mate. Absolutely smashed that podcast, and I will be on better form next week when I've actually watched it. So yeah, no, guys, listen, smash the like, smash the subscribe, do all that sort of stuff. TikTok, no, you're right, man, mate. Is it TikTok or Instagram that you're more prominent on? I know you do both, don't
Instagram.
you? Instagram, Grace Wild Football.
Yeah, I'll do both though. I ain't bothered.
Nah, go follow both. Why not? Do them all. We're on TikTok as well, so go follow that. Go follow YouTube. Do everything, and I'm going to bed because it's been a very long weekend. Grace, it's been an amazing weekend, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye, guys.
See you next week.